Hey world, this is Christine Don, and I'm here with ComicsVerse at Wizard World Philadelphia 2016 with the amazingly talented Christa Cassano. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your work with John Leguizamo's GHETTO KLOWN. So you're Eisner-nominated, or no, you were nominated for an Eisner Award for your work on John Leguizamo's GHETTO KLOWN. Can you tell me a little bit about what drew you to this project?
Well, they approached me and offered me the job, and then initially I turned it down because it was a very tight schedule, and it would have been very kind of impossible, and actually was, so I got another artist to work on it with me. But John, I saw it's a one-man show, it's based on his one-man show, and I saw it, and what I found really interesting was that he had a lot of stage fright, and he dealt with a lot of, I don't know how to say it nicely, but I guess it was hard for him. It was hard for him as a Hispanic male to be in the world of Hollywood, and I could relate to both his, like fears and anxiety, and his just wanting to make his own way. And so at first I wanted to do it, but there was no way I could. But then the more I thought about it, it was like I really wanted to do it. So
that's great. That's an amazing story to hear, actually. So what was your experience working on such a high energy, energetic, and vivid audio biography and turning it into a graphic novel? Because that's the difficult thing, to turn a one-man performance into a complete graphic novel.
Yeah, and because it was such a tight schedule, and because it was my first, I think the longest comic I had done before that was 17 pages. And so I had, luckily I work in a studio space with tons of other talented cartoonists. So I asked Mike Cavallero, who is a vet, to do initial layouts. And but then I veered from them a lot. It was just like a way to see what, like a lot of it's acted out, so it's very natural, and he acts it out on stage, so it's normal storytelling. But then there was moments where there's weird transitions, and so to see what Mike did, it kind of opened up my way. And both me and Seamus Bial, who also worked on the project, part of it was from Mike's initial layouts, and then a lot of it was just our own. So it was kind of neat to see a real collaboration between John and Mike and Seamus and me, and how it just became this other thing.
Wow, that's really cool. So, like, how involved was John in the process of creating and turning his performance into the graphic novel?
Because he's an artist and a performer himself, he understood that. I mean, I asked him initially. I was like, are you like? I gave him some sample character studies that I had drawn and some first pages, and he was very hands-off. He was just like loved everything that we did, and he was amazed by it. And the only one thing that he said at the very beginning, I had drawn his mother with because it was, I think, probably the 50s to the 60s, so I had drawn her with a scarf tied up like this, and he said it was too I don't know what that fruit lady is.
Rosie the Riveter.
I guess, yeah. And so no, actually it was the Hispanic woman with the fruit. I forget her name. So I changed it to just a headband or whatever, but I was grateful that that was the only thing he ever said, and then the rest he was just like, he loved what we did. So it was kind of neat to have complete freedom and support at the same time.
That's great. So you're also a member of Hang Dai Studios, right? And so Hang Dai Studios publishes creator-owned, independendly published comics. Can you talk a little bit about your work with Hang Dai Studios and what you do for them?
Well, Hang Dai Studios it's 7 of us, and some cartoonists or writers, and others draw and write their own stories, and that's what I want to do.
That's great that there's a community and a establishment that can support independent artists like yourself who want to kind of tell your own stories instead of attaching yourselves to bigger names, which I know is difficult for a lot of artists to do, because it's tough to be a freelance artist and to do your own thing. So major respect for that. That's incredible. So what draws you to comics with an X as opposed to comics with a C?
Comics with an X is more, it's independent voice as opposed to a mainstream one. But what is interesting in my time in the studio and these 3 years that I've been watching the comics community unfold is that there's such power in mainstream, a whole group of people identifying with certain things because it's universal. So that aspect is so important to bring to individuals, and so I don't know. They're separate in that way, but I definitely, at first I always thought I would be this weird outsider, but there's something about that voice that is universal, and so they kind of mean the same thing to me.
Right. I mean, honestly, like nowadays, the mainstream comic industry, I feel, is the industry of individual voices, independent voices, drawing on a lot of diversity and experiences from people of different backgrounds. And I actually just participated in a roundtable where I mentioned something similar to what you said about how I never felt underrepresented in media, even though I am an Asian American female. I never felt underrepresented because I drew little aspects from different movies or different shows, and like I saw myself in those, so that kind of filled that void. But it was a very mishmash of different things that I felt. So that's really cool to hear you say that and to sort of validate that experience that I had as well. So I know we're running out of time, and you're very busy. So I just wanted to ask you what upcoming projects you have, and if there's anything you want to plug to our viewers and audiences at ComicsVerse.
I've been in since Ghetto Clown. I've been in writing mode, and I wrote I think it'll be a 5 or 6 issue. It's like I think I'm on the 3rd or 4th draft of it series, but it's a lot to handle, so I wanted to do something that was easier, maybe a novella that would be shorter, and because you go away for so long in this, and so I'm working on that, and I'm also working on a story that will hopefully be in one of these editions of Heavy Metal coming up. It's just a 10-page story that I just finished writing, and now I'm going to start drawing, and then I'm going to work on the novella, and then I'll work on the big series.
All right, world. Thank you for listening again. I'm Christine Dawn with ComicsVerse at Wizard World Philadelphia 2016. This is Christa Cassano. Please check her out on Twitter at @CCassano. And please check us out if you like this video at comicsverse.com, www.comicsverse.com. We're also on YouTube at ComicsVerse TV and on all the social media platforms you could ever think of. Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, you name it, we're there. ComicsVerse is your one-stop source for pop culture news and comic book entertainment. Thank you again, and have a great day.